I hope you're doing well. Today I am filling in for the Reverend Don. He has been birthday kidnapped today to make for the idea of him. His birthday, his friends Janice and Jason have kidnapped him to take him off to a restaurant, Gilbert's Cafe to particularly. So if you're in the area, you want to say hi to Don before he gets here, it's Gilbert's Cafe. We'll be here all day. We're getting ready. Good day to Lord Don. He'll see all this in the writing. So you please put your good birthday wishes, and he will be on at 4 o'clock for a couple of hours. We're going to be talking about Gaia Thrift, and it is a manifestation. Right now, we have one table. We have lots of great items. Me and the Alcor talking about it. And we're ready to start to do this phase of our life. John would have been talking to you today about the fact that this is the next phase of life, how the world is, changing, and he really is focused on this sort of thing. So, how can we celebrate Don's birthday? Happy birthday, and that is Fox Fair Witch. Hi, Fox Fair Witch and Janet. Yep, wish him very much. Let's see if we can get people to kind of wish him a happy birthday on these channels as we talk about it. So this is the Alicorn, which is the motto of Gaia Thrift. So what's different? So most people know this is again another project by John Lewis and me. Ed Hubbard is a lifelong partner in all of this. We are friends to the end, and but we are no longer in the churchy business. In the sense of the administration, we got some great people. And Don worked really super hard to the level to make sure that he has good quality people who basically are now administrating the Karelian tradition, the largest tradition, Wiccan tradition in the world. And the architecture has been handed off and everything else. And I'm out of that architecture. So what were we going to do? We were like, okay, we can do something. And I've been going back. I've been doing, as people know, scraping and painting. And I've gone back into the worm business, healthy worms. But that's a long-term process. It takes a little while. So yes, and thank you everybody who's putting happy birthday down out there. He will be back in at 4 o'clock. And we'll be showing you some of the things we've got. And me and the Alicorn are here to answer any questions you want. And I can give you any dirt that you like on Reverend Don. So today, because he's not here, we will be happy to give you, I will answer any of your questions that you put into the comments about Reverend Don to the best of my ability. So this is ask me anything about Don for his birthday. So yeah, and there you go. But one of the thing about Gaia Thrift is, Don really dresses well. And one of the things today, he was just complimented how well he dressed. And today he's really proud of the fact his hat's new. He buys hats, new, and people give them to him. But he had a new jacket on and a new pants on that we found. And he was pretty happy with that. And it was very nicely worn. And thank you, Wendy. I am not going to butcher your name. Wendy Z, thank you for saying happy birthday. Everybody kind of just join in and say happy birthday to Don. He'll see these later. And of course, join us at 4 o'clock when we're going to show more of the shop. But right now, it's a manifestation project. Everybody said, how can you have a grand opening if you have no shelves, if you have no tables, you have no counters, you have no. This is one of those moments of manifestation. Me and Don are actually showing you this right from the beginning because you know why? It's one of the things that the internet said. I've been reading a book called Gary V. Day Trading Attention. We've built global systems before. And today we want to buy Gaia Thrift. And Gaia Thrift is going to be selling stuff to the public to kind of deal with it. For me, it's part of my climate reality leadership project. The idea of moving a lot of clothing and materials out of it. And there you go, out of the land stream. But when you think about Don's 61st birthday, it's kind of interesting. Gemini is having all sorts of astrological pieces. Did you know that Don not only helped me build a crystal web, we've been building it for years, but Don, has anyone ever gone into Don's astrology? Yeah. We should get an astrologer to talk about Don's astrology. And also, what about things that you want? One of the things I think people don't understand, the internet has changed. Everything has shifted. Everything has shifted. And especially if during COVID, but last year it also shifted in a big way. So, yeah, it has. Thank you, Mary Calavante. Hi there. Hello, too. You're one of my favorite people in the world today. I love people who listen and everything, but Mary's been such a delight. I just saw her a couple weeks ago at the illustration, and we talked about all this. But today we start with the internet projects and everything else. So Gaia Thrift is simply, if somebody asks me, is this going to be a hybrid? It's not a hybrid. It's just the way business is now. You do it online, offline, anywhere you can. And this has also helped the elder care process. We've talked about elder care. One of the big things we talked a lot about is elder care. And this guy thrift is a way to get jobs, put people to work, um, and also to generate additional funds to help, support Don and other elders that are going to need help. Hey, Jay, no, it's okay. Today's Don's day, so let's go ahead and talk about Don. Here you what do you want to know about facts? Like he became a young high priest. We talk about first priest being, a young first priest and a first elder, not the youngest to ever been. No, Don and Crystal were many so, and that was a really big change in the Renaissance of the Corellian Church. I didn't join too much after that. I certainly, as you know, I'm one of the earliest members outside of the direct family. And my family connection is there here too. Hubbard has a big name here in Danville, and there's a lot of energy, and we've kind of been exploring that. I'll read that a second, but then, then when I joined, I was like one of the very first outside the family, outside the Danville members. Um, yeah, it was kind of fun. It was interesting, and I was able to do that. Fox for Witch says, I just found out about the Pacific tradition. I never heard of it in the years I've been tuning in as much as I can learn more. Sure. Witchschool.com is a great place to go. A lot of people go to witchschool.com. It has both free classes and paid for classes. It's a great way to enter and to understand Corellian tradition, especially if you want clergy training. We have more than 5,000 clergy have been trained by us. We have over 300 high priests and priestesses throughout the world. And it's not easy. Oh no! It's not an easy course. It's really to become a high priest. The minimum you can do is like 4 years. That makes it a college degree, but the maximum, people are still working at it. It's no hurry, no situation. And great people are operating. You got great mentors. You have Lord Phoenix. You have Lady Alyssa. You have Lady Lori, who are like taking the horns by the seam. You have people like Ebony Nash. They're really doing well. You have people like Mary who are moving into that sort of leadership. So a lot of people are moving into the leadership of the tradition in a very balanced, very organized way, very gentle way. But it took Don having to retire, and that sometimes happens with founders. So we've got him to retire. So this is my birthday present to him: is to give him something else to do. Let's be honest. Don needs something else to do. He could be able to do his art. He can be able to do his media. We can get people behind him to help him here. We can generate jobs. We can generate internet. But it is very, very important um, that we give Don more than just being the high priest, because we got so many talented people, and I'm so very proud of all of them. Um, you know, uh, Dr. Zach has come back into the picture, and I think that's very interesting. We talk about Jason, the usual cult that, but we got a lot of new people coming in, and we're going to be helped by a lot of people locally. Jan and Dee and Susan Dancing Star, which is very public, and so there you go. So okay, how old was I when I met Don? I was 28 years old. I was working a psychic fair. I was working at a psychic fair for the first time. Uh, Don can really tell it. It was a weird thing. I got a letter from Eleanor Roosevelt. Uh, Eleanor. And wow, what Roosevelt came out? It was not. It was just Eleanor. And she was working the psychic fair, and I got a letter, and it came through Karmic Retreat. Said they would like me to try out for a psychic fair, J&M Psychic Fair. I did. They liked me, and they found out that I don't drive. I still to this day don't drive. Um, and basically, then Don, they said, "Oh, Don comes out. He's always looking for gas money." There you go. So there you go. And then we met. We argued all the time, and then as he said, I could use your help, and that the rest is history. I'm in Pennsylvania. Does that matter for what? For becoming a member of the Corellian tradition? Oh no, we have members worldwide. We are in 182 countries worldwide. We have clergy temples in more than 15 countries and many states. We're the best of the online. And happy birthday, Reverend Eric Hebert. Lord Don will be back at 4 o'clock. He's been birthday kidnapped, as I said. And so I'm doing all the dish on him. Anything you want to know about him from his best friend, yeah, we could talk. For me, he's Don. I mean, I'm Reverend Don. Most people don't know it, but the reason he's Reverend Don is because I actually kind of pressured him into it. I pressured a lot of pagans into that. Um, that sort of thing. Oh yeah, Fox. We have over 300,000 total members that have gone through the witch school system. We have more than 20,000 court members. We have lots of things. Corellian.com. Check it out. We offer a lot, and yet we have so much more farther to go. There's a new generation tradition of taking over this tradition in a big way. They just had their illustration, really the first illustration of the new age, because we saw the old age die in 2019. The entire system shifted because of COVID. Yeah, and then we returned back to the first live one back in Danville, which is a significant action because up to that point it had been unbroken and the sort of idea of online for a very long time. So that was broken. And in there was the Paladins and other groups moved in, and we basically moved in to save the illustration, and we've been online. We've expanded our rituals online. Uh, Eric's been involved with that, yeah, and a lot of you have been. Um, Made that possible. And we do kind of these sort of live and hybrid events. So yeah, that's really kind of important, and that takes a lot of work. As Fox, I'm glad to be met. This is pretty rare, but it's going to be more common. So we're going to be actually dealing in the idea of thrift. As you can see, we are just setting up. I got lots of neat things behind me. Yep. Some more things in front of me. I haven't been able to set up our full camera set, but we're going to be able to go live in a lot of ways. We're going to be able to go and do things in a lot of ways. This is going to be as much online as it is offline, VR, XR, all that. We'll talk all about that later. But right now, say happy birthday. If you're listening in, say happy birthday. Go to Don Lewis, Reverend Don, Donald Lewis's page. That. But no, Reverend Don was something required. And then when we started in Hoopston, and he started working with Hoopston, I asked him when people are around, people weren't around. He could call them anything, but when we had staff, he was be introduced as the Reverend Don Lewis, and if people asked for him, it was Reverend Don Lewis. So that was 2003. Wow. 21 years ago that we applied that hard. And it was about moral equivalence in Hoopston, Illinois. We've been using it, but that's about the moral equivalence. So in 2003, when we took over the Hoopston complex, which was another great opportunity, the gray elephant, it had its troubles, its difficulties. It's a great story now in hindsight. Um, it was started. That's when Reverend Don became Reverend Don. Hi, Mary. Hi, Mary Hawk. How you doing? Hi. So I'm filling in for Don because he's been kidnapped, birthday kidnapped. So we're not calling out the police or anything. But Don could get a police escort. He is a native son to Danville, and Danville is so interesting downtown. It talks a lot about Lincoln being here, and for all you LGBTQ, this is where you see a lot of evidence that Lincoln may have been bisexual. There's been a lot of talk about being gay. He wasn't. We know he has a wife and everything, and he had children. He had great things to say about his wife, but there's been a lot about talking about his male companionship, including wrestling. Remember, he was a wrestler first. And so people don't like to talk about it, but Lincoln was a pretty advanced president, even if he didn't do everything right. So we're right there in the heart. There's maps of it. They have murals and art of all kinds. So we're very happy. We found out the reuse shop. We went to looking for tables, didn't have any. I had a brilliant desk, $50. We're thinking about it. Um, so there you go. So I'm going to go ahead and do our first ask. I'm going to do an ask for you. If you go to GaiaThrift.com, you'll see there's gift certificates. We're going to give away, at 4 o'clock, we're going to be talking about it. We're going to be giving away those gift certificates. $10 gift certificates going to be worth 20 in product as we start putting things up. And where are we going to put up things? Well, cute teddy bears. This is a Build-A-Bear from 2020, right before COVID. And he's got a nice Chicago thing. So that's just one item. Clothing. Who knows? And we're going to be able to do so. So how does Gaia Thrift help you? We're going to help you with clothing. We're going to also have a lot of shows and talking about clothing and magical clothing and things of that nature and other products too. Books. We're going to talk about books. We're going to talk about all of it and the value of it. We're going to start looking at value. We're going to start looking at stop worrying about all of what things cost. Let's see what they have valued, and we're going to talk a lot more about this idea of the end of Big Poverty. But yeah, I'm filling in for Don. Please, if you say so. Don will be back at 4 o'clock, and we're going to start to doing some things. And if you want to, buy gift certificates. And when you buy the gift certificate, we're going to give you 2 for 1. We're going to give you 2 gift certificates, price one. If you either we're going to expand it to a $20 gift certificate, or you can ask for it to be in 2 separate gift certificates if you want to give them away. And you can make them in any amount you want. So and that helps us by giving us some upfront capital to acquire more items. And so if you have a library, if you want to know about thrift and things of that nature, you have a library. If you're in a cult library, sure, talk to us. I know a lot about value. Um, I've sold into the hundreds of thousands of dollars of thrift items over the years to support, which goal was supported completely on the back of book sales, my book business. Yeah, and working at a fantasy headquarters. But here, coffee. Cheers, coffee pusher. Um, so Eric, what are you doing for your birthday? Uh, so So we're having some amazing time. I'm just filling in for the full half an hour because of the way the algorithm works. And I'll give you any story you'd like about Reverend Don. Do you know Reverend Don used to keep hamsters for a long time? Yeah, he used to love my hamsters. We bred hamsters with my kids. One of the pet things I did, I raised quite a few hamsters. Actually, my kids raised hamsters, and we sold them back to the pet store for $1 a piece. Yep. I believe in a very expansionary business. Yes, I'm still in the healthy worm business. I'm still building a business. It's taking me longer. I need to raise some money, but I'm not worried about that right this minute. It's going along fine. By spring of next year, I fully expecting to sell birthday. And Leo Yeager says, "Happy birthday, Lord Don and Reverend Eric." Oh, okay. How did I meet Don? So I met Don at the psychic fair. I met him at a psychic fair. So I was working at a place called Karmic Retreat. It was a coffee shop in Chicago. And my first real gig, I just left mangled, burned out, crashed out of my yes, Steve Taylor, happy birthday, Reverend Don. He will be back at 4 o'clock. He's been birthday kidnapped. And so here we go. That's the way Don is. He just leaves me all the work and has all the celebration. No, he's been taken out by good friends. I'm so glad. Friends who came up from Florida to see him. I'm not kidding. Don has a fan base all over the world, and he's so nice with his fans. All right, so here I'm meeting at a psychic fair and everything else. I get hired, so I was working at Karmic Retreat. And Eleanor, the head of the psychic, sent me a letter. She said, "You try out for J&M." I came out of nowhere. I didn't know if she did. I did try out for J&M, and they accepted me. And then they had psychic fairs out in the suburbs. I said, "I really can't make it out to the suburbs. I'll do the ones in the city." I did the one in the city. I met Don. And then afterward, they basically said, "Hey, Don rides out to the suburbs. He could probably use some gas money." I said, "Okay, happy to do that." And so we'd be riding out, and we would get into these horrendous conversations because I was basically an amalgam. I was American cafeteria religion, which means I was a New Age Christian in my thinking, but not necessarily my practice. I already become, Armageddon is a war crime. I've already come to that conclusion. Remember, I was 24 years old when I realized Armageddon is a war crime. Remember that. It's a crime. It's a crime against humanity. And even the practice and the teaching of it as an inevitability is a war crime. I've always said that, and I will continue to say that. And it gives permission to do a lot of things. So Don's telling me about this very positive family religion, all these nice practices and all of it, and how much community was around him. And then one day he looks at me and says, "I could use your help. I want to know what Christians do to make their lives better." Today is Gaia Thrift, which is churches run thrift stores and thrift ministries. So I'd ride back and forth from Chicago to psychic fairs. I would get tossed out of the psychic fair. Yep, because I started doing advertising outside of the psychic fair, and I would open up a psychic center. Um, so let me go ahead and the other piece of it. So how did I really get to know Don? He slipped and he fell and broke his back. 2 vertebrae. Yeah, dislodged him, and he was on his back in his house, spending his family's inheritance, what he had, because of medical care, until he went broke. And then a lot of his friends abandoned him. There's nothing they could do or wouldn't do. And so pretty much at this point, um, I didn't really know Don for very long. but he moved into my house with me and my family, and he would spend years there, and while he recovered, and we would start Universal Life Church of Gaia to get him on the practices of being more legalized versus a family tradition. People always ask, well, why can't we find it before the 90s? Well, that's when they became legalized as a tradition. You start seeing the work in 1979, and of course, they were a house religion, which was the truth of most religions, most faiths before that. Yes, and that's why the accusation sometimes, oh, Don made it up whole cloth. No, because it was an oral tradition, and pretty much it was a dying family tradition. Let's be perfectly frank; it was dying, and that was because of the unfortunate lives of the last generation. Lots of cancers, a lot of things that went wrong, and the kids became a lot of the kids went off to be Christian, and they exist in other spaces. Don and Crystal continued on the religion, and they were told they were going to rejuvenate it, and they did. So what the ancestors told them before I was even on the circle is that they were going to have him talk to the whole world. They did. They told Don that. Absolutely. Now, Don has another story about how to meet me. Don claims, and I can't remember it, but he remembers dreaming about me long before I showed up. Uh, and so that was very interesting. Steve Tyler says, happy birthday, little Reverend Don. Drop your Reverend Don. Happy birthday. He will see this and he will be back in 3 hours and 39 minutes with the opening of something that he's really wanted, which is this is the conclusion of that story is what does he want? He wants to do what other Christian churches do, what other people do. And for him, it's thrift. He loves clothes. How many think Don has good clothing fashion? If you do, terrific. But do you? How would you like to see Don's Closet, which is going to be a show here on this network? We've got an alliance of networks now. So there you go. Nikki Dodd says happy birthday, Don, and Michelle says happy birthday, and he's gonna be reading this and making it all happy. And I just found out Don's watching this actually uh, through the phone, so he's often enjoying people, and they're listening to this in the background. So happy birthday, Don! And so, so I think a lot of what this Gaia Thrift represents is a new expansion of the ability to earn income revenue. And also kind of help with my goals of environmentalism, my Gaiaism. I recently went to training through the Al Gore Climate Reality Project to become a climate core leader. I'm with another training program, and Gaia Thrift fits into that because we want to end no more landfills. I'm returning to a lot of my pieces. And so we've already talked about how we ran the church and so many people, but there's an alliance of something happening. The internet is changing. There's an alliance formed of multiple channels of the emerging pagan television, which is an emerging part of the internet television. Plus, there's so much attention out there. So attention is everything. If you haven't read the book, A Day Trading Attention by Gary Vee, and I have no attachment to it other than I'm a huge, huge fan, that I'm going to do so. We're going to use that book and methodology to kind of expand our sharing community. And that's really why I'm into it. I really do feel like we're going to become a sharing community. And what do I mean by a sharing community? The idea of the mesh, that we can share our resources to our benefit. And a lot of it, some of it has been like Uber really did benefit from a sharing economy. We're going to share their cars with them, our capital and everything for them to get us jobs, driving people, and they're going to handle all the finances. It did benefit a corporation and a big person, but it helped a lot of people get jobs and getting work on their own schedules. And it's always kind of a questionable thing, but a sharing economy goes a step further. A thrift store is a sharing economy. It's a recommercing of clothing. It's recommercing of good quality materials that can last longer, so it stays out of the landfill. Anything we can displace from a landfill is good news at any given day. It can also help people dress better. Lord Don, Reverend Don dresses from the thrift store. He buys some new things, and people buy him new things. I know one of his big fans, Renee, just got him a brand new pair of shoes, and they fit, and he's really happy. So Don does live at the behest of other people. Like all good religious leaders, he doesn't care about money. Gaia Thrift is about to fix that. We need to have him making an income, and that's why I'm here, because what has everybody said about Ed? Oh, he's always about the money. yeah, that's right. It's always about the money. That's right. That's right. That's how we funded all of it because it's always about the money. And to a degree, I'm all about the resources, but I'm much more about chrono time. If you want to give us volunteer time, I'm happy for it. We do need volunteers to help with this, and also just spread the word. I mean, there are so many good things in the world. How would you? You know, we're about to see. I think is going to be the golden age of paganism. I think Danville is going to benefit a lot by having Don home and Corellians coming back in and out. There's already a number of Corellians, of course there is. And now we're giving them a little bit more focus. Are we going to do rituals here? Absolutely. We're going to make it possible to do rituals here. Are you going to be able to sit down and have a discussion with Don? Sure. If you want to get a reading from Don, sure. We're going to have that in the back. We're going to have that right behind me. We're going to set it up. I think we already got a couch out there, a couple of chairs. It'll be about there, so people can come in, have discussions, have talks, and we'll be selling materials. And a lot of what we'll be doing is e-commerce online. And so, if you have things you want, Gaia Thrift at Gmail, Gaia Thrift Central at gmail.com um, is great. It's going to be useful. Um, and yeah, we can get you whatever you need. We're going to be looking and harvesting. And there's just so many things get thrown away. I don't even know how to explain this to people. You know how much stuff gets thrown away? I went to a place today and I saw hundreds of books. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, oh, I need to go through there. But I didn't have time today because what are we doing? We're building this. This is Don's 61st birthday. He's gone through his solar returns and everything else. He's retired. He's recovered. And Gaia Thrift is, what is he doing? How can you help to celebrate Don's birthday? Don doesn't want anything. He doesn't want anything much. He wants to make people happy. And at 4 o'clock today, he is. And two, he wants to actually do Gaia Thrift because he recognizes an income. He will continue to do readings. Please buy a reading if you want from him. But the astrology around June 3rd, lineup of planets and everything else. But today we want to celebrate his birthday and the new direction he's moving into, which is kind of helping people locally, kind of building this idea of Guy Thrift and being a minister to one and all of you, both online through his midday discussion and through Don's Closet, which is going to be on all the major pagan television networks, as well as running a thrift store. And we're going to have people, needs, and everybody else. So I really hope that you do. If you want to donate, buy gift certificates on GaiaThrift.com. And if you want to donate product, we're at 19 East North Street, 61832 of Danville, Illinois, the homeland of the Corellian tradition. That's right. 19 East North Street, Danville, Illinois, 31832. And you can actually donate to us if you'd like. You can even send it through the mail. You can do anything. And we're looking for everything. And I know some of you have metaphysical books and metaphysical. We work with everybody. We can help build a library, and we're also going to have partners that help us with that. But this is very mainstream. We have nice mainstream clothing. Well, I can't tell you how many cool little things we have. At 4 o'clock, let me go ahead and repeat that. At 4 o'clock, Don will be on here, and we will begin broadcasting on Gaia Thrift. 61832. Yes, Janet, there it is. It's in one of the conversations. Jan's a very important part of this. 61832, 19 East North Street, Danville, Illinois, 61832. We actually have a phone number. I'll give that to you later, but 4 o'clock, we will talk. Peace. And I hope you enjoyed the show today. Wish Don happy birthday. Go over to his page. Be on Gaia Thrift. And all the usual channels as we open up Gaia Thrift to the world. More than meets the eye.